Hi, today's video is for 10th grade students. We are going to look at the third prose piece from Forced Flight, the title of which is True Stories About Flying. Yes, as the very title suggests, as the very name suggests, it's a combination of two different stories written by two different authors or two different writers. It's a combination of two inspiring stories, the names of which are His Forced Flight and The Black Aeroplane. These stories show that bravery or courage and cowardice are two relative terms. They cannot go together or they cannot go hand in hand. These stories teach us that one should not lose hope while in danger, like the young seagull of the first story and like the pilot of the second story. Like the two characters in these two stories, we should try to overcome our fear. Well, today in this video, we shall concentrate only on the first prose piece, only on the first part, that is His Forced Flight. His Forced Flight is a story of hesitation, trial and error, and finally getting success in the end. It is an interesting story of a hesitant and timid seagull learning the art of flying. It's written by Liam O'Flaherty. Liam O'Flaherty was a major Irish novelist and short story writer. Now let's get going and let's see what happens in this story, in the first story, that is His Forced Flight. Let me narrate this story in my own words. Let me tell you the building blocks of this story, and with that background, if you go and read the text for yourself, you will have a much clearer, much better and complete understanding of the story or of the text. As I told you in the introductory part itself, this story is about a family of seagulls. There is a small seagull, there is a young seagull or a young child in the family who is afraid of flying, who is unable to fly even after several tries. So, as I told you, let me repeat it once again for you, that this story gives the message that one needs to believe in oneself in order to overcome our fear. Now, we will see as we proceed in the story that this young seagull believed in himself. However, it was too late, it was a bit late, but he believed in himself at the end, and so he came out victorious, he was able to fly. Let's see how it starts and let's see how the story goes. The seagull family consists of 6 members. Who are the 6 members? Mother, father, sons and one daughter. Although it's not written explicitly in the text, but as the very text starts, we read it like this. If you have the NCERT book, you might be able to read, the young seagull was alone on his ledge, his 2 brothers and his sister. So his 2 brothers, his sister and himself, besides his parents. So altogether it makes it 6 members. So his family, the seagull family, consists of 6 members. All of them are expert in flying, except the youngest son, except this young seagull. All of them are very expert in flying. His parents have tried to teach him, even his parents have tried to teach this young seagull several times, but he is not able to fly. He does not even want to try anymore. They insist that he should try, but this young seagull doesn't want to try anymore. He relies only, or he depends only on the food that is brought by his parents. However, I am sure you must have heard the saying, it is better to teach a person how to fish than to give him fish. His parents wanted to teach him how to fish. In other words, we can say that his parents wanted to teach him how to fly so that he could be self-dependent, so that he could go and find food for himself. Now, as the story proceeds, we read that the youngest son was very afraid of flying, as he thinks that if he tries, his wings would not support him and he would fall down and fall down in the sea and drown. He would be drowned. Even his parents have rebuked him several times. They have even threatened him that if he doesn't try to fly, he would die of hunger. He would not be given any food. And then we read that after so many failed attempts, his parents leave him alone on the rock without food. They even taunt him. They even tease him for his cowardice. See, this young seagull is very coward. He is a coward. His cowardice can be easily seen in this story. The young seagull looks at his brothers and his sister. They're enjoying swimming, diving in the sea water for fish to feed themselves, but no one comes near him and no one comes to his rescue, or no one gives him any food. He simply keeps on looking. And then as we read and see, as the story proceeds, we read that as the time passes, the young seagull could not tolerate, he's not able to tolerate his hunger and heat. He moves closer to the ledge and pretends to fall asleep. But here also we see that no one seems to take any notice. Why? Is it because his family members hated him? Is it because they did not like him? No, it is only because they wanted him to become self-dependent. They wanted him to learn the art of flying. They wanted him to go and find food for himself. So that is why they are not coming to his rescue. That is the reason they are not helping him. His brothers and his sister, they have already had hearty breakfast, and father seems busy in admiring and cleaning his feathers on his back. And then we read that the mother looks at him and tries to tempt him with pieces of fish. But his begging and crying does not affect her. As we read the text, as we read the story, we understand that the mother seems to be quite indifferent. She seems to be taking no notice. Why? It is not because she did not love him. It is only because she wanted the young seagull to be self-dependent. She wanted him to fly for himself. And then, as the story goes, we read that he was very hungry. The young seagull was very hungry. He was surprised enough. He was shocked when he realized, or he saw that, his mother is quite indifferent to him. His mother's ignorance quite surprised him, and his condition was very pathetic. Thus, he had no other option. He was left with no option, and then he dives for food. He begins to fall down with a scream as soon as he dives. So it is because he doesn't know how to fly. So first time he dives, and he is not able to fly. The young seagull, we read in the story that he begins to fall in the sea. He is afraid of drowning, so he tries to spread his wings. A detailed description of all this, a detailed description of how he begins to fly, is given in the story. I recommend you to read it for yourself. As you read, you will find that he tries to spread his wings outwards and begins flying. Of course, in the initial stage, he feels little dizzy, but all his fear vanishes, all his fear disappears. He soars slowly downwards and upwards. He could finally fly on his own. That's what we read in the text. And then, as we come to the climax, we see that there is a happy family. All of them are very happy on seeing him flying. They understand, they realize that this young seagull has learned what is expected of him, or what is expected of his being. The young seagull becomes so happy and soars higher. It was really a joyous moment. It was really a happy moment for the whole family. His brothers and sister, along with his parents, come near to encourage and cheer him. The young seagull successfully takes his first flight, and this is how he learns how to fly. So it's a very simple story. It's a very easy story. It's simply how the young seagull learns to fly. But before I wind up, I think I can make a very important statement that I'm certainly reminded of. I'm sure you must have heard the famous saying in English, necessity is the mother of invention. Unless and until you feel the necessity of something, you are not going to work for it. Unless and until you realize the need for something, you are not going to try to achieve it. So necessity is the mother of invention. Unless and until this young seagull felt very hungry, too hungry, no one came to his rescue. As long as his parents continued to give him food, he was not able to fly. But finally, when he was left to himself, finally when he had no other option, he had to learn to fly. The same thing happens even in our practical lives. Sometimes it is good to be left to ourselves in order to overcome out of the toughest situation in life. Unless and until we are left to go through trials, tribulations and difficulties, we will never learn how to come out victorious out of all these things. I think I have learned it even from my practical life. Thanks for watching. If you have any question from this part, from the first part, feel free to ask me in the comment section. Next, in my next video, I shall come to you with the second part of this story, or with the second story, that is the black aeroplane.